Thank you, Madam Chairwoman and the other senators for hearing our testimony tonight. I'm here to testify in support of the bill. Codifying Roe versus Wade in Rhode Island is super important. People need, to have freedom of choice in their healthcare decisions. I have a few stories to tell you from some people I know. As the other witnesses and other people have mentioned, the fear-mongering around late-term abortions is really, a friend of mine had a, post on his Facebook about it, and it just seemed like a lot of people think that women are out to kill their children in the third trimester, and I have a dear friend who she was pregnant, and she desperately wanted this child. She had had 3 previous miscarriages, and so the doctor was doing all these different tests to make sure that it was okay, and she was doing everything right. And she got preeclampsia, and then later in the late term, towards the end of her pregnancy, they found that she was actually carrying twins, and the twins had developed a rare condition called, I wrote it down here, it's twin transfusion syndrome. It was basically the blood was going from one to the other in the placenta. Somehow you can look it up if you want, but basically her doctor told her that she could have a surgery, but if the surgery doesn't work, she would have to kill one of her children, basically abort one of the children to save the other one. And as you can imagine, that was devastating to hear, and she really didn't want to have to make that choice. And luckily she didn't. The doctor performed the surgery a month later, and it worked, and she didn't have to make that choice. But if you can imagine being in her position, and that's really the only late-term abortion that I know was on the table. So I don't think that people are out there saying, okay, this baby is late term, I'm going to kill it. And I've also heard things about killing babies who survived abortion and were viable, and I don't think that would happen either. Someone would have to be pretty cruel and to do that. So I think that that's not really a concern. All the people I know who have had abortions have had them for reasons of medical necessity, or one of my friends, he's a trans man, so when he was younger he had a unplanned pregnancy, and he lived with his parents, and his parents were very abusive, so he couldn't let his parents know that he was pregnant. So unfortunately, he chose to give himself a coat hanger, do-it-yourself abortion at home, and fortunately he didn't, hurt himself terribly in the process, and the abortion worked. But when I hear things, like there are domestic violence situations where the spouse would have to be notified, and that could really put someone in danger, if their spouse was trying to coercively make them pregnant, for example, and that's, a scary situation too. Some men who are abusive are known to sabotage their partner's birth control. And, as someone else said, we need to really trust women, trust people who give birth or, who become pregnant, and, give them all the choices. If we give them the supports, the education, make birth control available, and I know that sometimes that becomes a contentious issue too. If we make family planning available, make birth control available, don't demonize Planned Parenthood. I hear so much demonization of Planned Parenthood. In high school, I took a friend of mine who thought she might be pregnant to Planned Parenthood, and fortunately for her, in her case, it turned out she wasn't pregnant. But I don't know. I listened to the other witness's story about being told only about abortion at Planned Parenthood, but I don't know if that's the case. My friend said that they, told her about different choices, but I know that, I don't know. I just know that we need to trust people to make, if we give them the information to make their own good decisions, then they'll make the decision that's best for them, and support them in whatever decision they make, and provide support for, poor people who have children. And I think that, they would be less apt to choose abortion. I'm sort of one of those people who thinks that abortion should be safe, legal, and rare, but it needs to be an option for people who choose it for any reason. But I think that if we provide people with support, and they know that they're going to be supported, that they would indeed, not use abortion frivolously. I don't know anyone who has.
Ma'am, I'm sorry to interrupt, but could I just ask you to wrap up just based on time?
Sure. Just
Thank you.
Based on time, basically, I think that if we trust people to make their own decisions on this, bodily autonomy and bodily sovereignty is so important, that I think that access to abortion always needs to be out there.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments for this witness?